Hey guys, in this video, I will be comparing damage numbers in Team DPS of two best Nilou and Nahida Bloom team comps along with their skill rotation and the builds as well. I guarantee that you will be well prepared after watching this video. As you already know, Nilou can make Bloom reaction bigger and stronger as long as you have her in a strictly Dendro and Hydro team comp. With Nahida in the party, she provides 100% uptime Dendro application and 250 elemental mastery buff to your active character that can make your team produce more blooms and deal even stronger bloom damage. Without further delay, let's start analyzing the DPS of our first team comp, Nilou, Nahida, Barbara, and C6 Xingqiu. This team comp is perfect for players who do not own Kokomi. You will rely on Barbara to heal your team and use Nahida as your on-field damage dealer. In this team comp, Nahida is best using the 4-piece Deepwood artifact set, with full EM main stats and crit substats. In this video I will be using only F2P friendly weapons, so a magic guide at refinement rank 5 is the weapon for Nahida. For Nilou, her best artifact set should be the 2-piece Tenacity of the Millilith set, and a 2-piece Wanderer's Troop set or a 2-piece Gilded Dream set, with full HP main stats and substats. Her best F2P weapon should be the Iron Sting at refinement rank 1. For Xingqiu, I will be using the 4-piece emblem set with energy recharge, hydro, and crit rate main stats, using Sacrificial Sword as his weapon. If you have Yelan, you can use her instead of Xingqiu, it's up to your choice. Her equipment should be similar to Xingqiu. For Barbara, her best artifact set should be the 4-piece Maiden Beloved set to maximize her healing power, and her weapon should be the Thrilling Tales book, to buff Xingqiu's attack power in the rotation. The rotation starts with Nahida's burst and skill, followed by Nilou's skill 4 times to activate her bountiful core buff, then Barbara to activate her healing and hydro application, then Xingqiu's burst and skill, then swap back to Nahida with her skill and 5 rounds of her normal attack combo. By doing this 22 seconds rotation, your team will be expected to produce a total of 13 blooms, with 12 blooms were triggered by Nahida herself, and 1 bloom was triggered by Nilou. But keep in mind that this simulation is based on a single enemy scenario. With more enemies, your team will produce a lot more blooms, since reaction on multiple enemies produces multiple Dendro cores. Now that we have simulated their rotation, let's take a look at their damage numbers and DPS. In this calculation result, I also added Nahida with Prototype Amber, just in case Barbara's healing power wasn't enough to sustain damage from both the enemy and the Dendro cores. And please note that I always use average quality substats for all of my calculation videos, that way, I can guarantee that your team will always exceed my calculation results. As you can see, even with a Prototype Amber on Nahida, this team can deal 27.9k DPS and most of the damage are AoE. With this amount of DPS, you can clear Abyss Floor 12 pretty easily, based on my experience. If you have Kokomi, you can replace Barbara with her, but I don't really recommend using Kokomi as an off-field healer. The reason is that, when you use Kokomi as your on-field damage dealer instead, Kokomi can deal good amount of damage and heal the entire party at the same time. And since she has a lot of HP, she can sustain big damage from bosses, so you don't die easily in battle. To use Kokomi as an on-field damage dealer, we need a new team comp, which is Nilou, Nahida, Kokomi, and a C3 Dendro Traveler. In this team comp, Kokomi should use her signature artifact set, which is the 4-piece Ocean-Hued Clam set. The main stats should be HP, Hydro, Healing bonus, and the substats should be either HP, EM, or Energy recharge. For the weapon, equip her with a Sacrificial Fragments for more elemental mastery stats. For the Dendro Traveler, the best artifact set is the 4-piece Gilded Dream set with Energy Recharge Sands, Elemental Mastery Goblet, and Elemental Mastery Circlet. You should focus on Energy Recharge and Elemental Mastery substats to help him or her burst often. The best weapon for Dendro Traveler should be any Energy Recharge based weapon such as Sacrificial Sword or Favonius Sword. Now let us take a look at their rotation. The rotation starts with Kokomi's Jellyfish to give wet status to the enemies, and provide healing to the next characters. Then Nilou will activate her bountiful core buff with her skill, then followed by Nahida's burst and skill. After that, Dendro Traveler will do the burst and skill, followed by Kokomi's burst that also extends her Jellyfish, and deal damage using her strength and normal attacks. Using that simulated rotation, let's take a look at their calculated damage numbers and DPS. As you can see, this team turned out to be better in both survivability and DPS, thanks to Kokomi's damage and her artifacts its bubble damage. With the Dendro Traveler giving another Dendro application beside Nahida, Kokomi can trigger bloom damage as well. And since Nilou's passive buffs the bloom damage by 270% and Nahida gives 250 elemental mastery to the active character, even low EM Kokomi can still deal 22k bloom damage each, meaning that you should not worry about having Kokomi with low EM. On top of that, during her burst, Kokomi also heals the entire party massively, so you don't have to worry about the Dendro cores hurting your characters. If you have Kokomi, this is the Nilou Nahida team comp that you should play. If you have trouble filling Kokomi's energy, you can use ER Sands and ER Weapon instead of HP Sands and Sacrificial Fragments. It will cut down Kokomi's DPS by 2.5k DPS, so it's not that much, but your Kokomi will be able to burst continuously. Now if you ask me, what if I don't pull for Nahida? Can I use Kale instead? What's their team DPS? Well, that is exactly my Bloom team right now. And their rotation should look like this. The rotation should just look like with Nahida, only replacing her with Kale. Kale is best using the 4-piece Deepwood set with Energy Recharge Sands and Elemental Mastery Goblet and Circlet, with Energy Recharge and Elemental Mastery substats. Her weapon should be any Energy Recharge weapon as well, and in my case she is using Sacrificial Bow at Refinement rank 5. Now let's take a look at their team damage and DPS. As you can see, by not having Nahida in the Bloom party, their DPS is significantly lower, at only around 23k DPS, compared to 34k DPS with Nahida. So yes, if you already have Nilou, you should definitely pull for Nahida for this huge DPS increase. Now if you're wondering, what does 34k DPS mean? How does it compare to other team comps? Luckily, I have done a few team DPS calculation in the past, and let me show you those results. As you can see, Hu Tao team comps have monstrous DPS right there, but keep in mind that most of Hu Tao's team damage are single target. With Nahida and Nilou Bloom team comps however, their damage are mostly AoE, so you can expect Nahida and Nilou clear multiple enemies faster than Hu Tao team comps, despite them having higher DPS. So to recap, if you have Kokomi, my recommendation is to build a Nahida, Nilou, Kokomi, and Dendro Traveler team comp, and use Kokomi as your on-field damage dealer. You can re-watch the chapter for their rotation and builds. If you don't have Kokomi, then you should build a Nahida, Nilou, Barbara, and Xingqiu or Yelan team comp, with Nahida as your on-field damage dealer. Again, you can re-watch the chapter for their rotation and builds. For the artifact set, the Deepwood set can go to either the Dendro Traveler or Nahida. But generally, since Nahida can hit multiple enemies faster and easier, you should use the Deepwood set on Nahida instead. Her DPS will go down very slightly on the Deepwood set due to the lower EM, but she will guarantee every enemy gets the debuff. This is contrary to my recommendation in my previous video, so I am sorry for that. For the weapon, a magic guide at Refinement rank 5 is the best non-5-star weapon for Nahida with Bloom or Quicken team comp. If you want to play a Burning team comp, then you should avoid the magic guide and use the new 4-star Wandering Even Star, or Sacrificial Fragments instead. I think that's it for today's video guys. Leave a comment if you have a question, and I will try to answer your question as much as I can. Like and subscribe if you want more DPS calculation video like this. Thank you so much and I'll see you on my Nahida gameplay video soon.